this is Jean from Happy Indulgence, and I have some super good news. I'm finally on maternity leave and I'm so excited to be chilling out and not getting ready and struggling through work because I've been so tired and big and exhausted. There's 5 more weeks to go until the baby arrives, so during this time I'm just excited to be sitting back and reading books and getting some content ready for you guys, and to be honest, also mentally preparing myself to get ready for huge life changes ahead. So I've been setting up the nursery and getting all the baby clothes ready and reading up a lot on, newborns and what to expect. So hopefully I'll be prepared. I'm still a bit terrified, but now that I'm on leave, I hope that I can mentally prepare myself a lot better. Now onto the books that I read during November. I can't believe it's December already and I can't believe how fast this pregnancy has gone. I read 6 books, 7 books if you count the reread that I read as well. There was one book that made me go into a huge reading slump, and I'm going to tell you guys what that is in a second. So as always with my wrap-ups, I'm going to talk about the books that I love the most to the books that I like the least, and to be honest, it was a super average reading month and I didn't read as much as I usually do as well, so hopefully that will be rectified in December, which it is now. So the first book that I read and loved is This Cruel Design by Emily Avada, and this is the sequel to This Mortal Coil, which was one of my favorite books of last year. This Mortal Coil, which is pictured here, is basically a blend of sci-fi, gene manipulation and viruses, and I really enjoyed it because it was so twisty. There was a lot of science and DNA manipulation in there, but it was explained in such a straightforward manner and I was super impressed. So of course I was super excited to read This Cruel Design, which I pre-ordered. So I got a signed bookplate from Emily Avada, which is super cool, and I got one for This Mortal Coil as well. Basically, This Cruel Design was just as action-packed and filled with twists and turns and explanations and science as the first book. I really ended up enjoying it. I'm not going to go too much into the plot because of spoilers for the first book, but it picks off exactly where the last book left off, and you find out more about Katerina as she's learning more about herself and her personal identity and the people that she surrounds herself with. So the mission that was left off in the first book continues and picks up here. She's still looking for her estranged father, and she's also trying to prevent an evil virus from taking over the whole world, seeing as the whole world is obsessed with this technology that can manipulate their genes and make humans faster and better and stronger and more resistant to disease. So I really enjoyed This Cruel Design. I just think it's such a smart sci-fi thriller read. If you love viruses, if you love science, if you love a futuristic sci-fi that could be plausible, this series is definitely for you. So I gave This Cruel Design 4 stars. Alright, here's the reason for my reading slump this month, and that is Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas. Oh my gosh guys, look how long this book is. I think it's almost 1,000 pages and it took me forever to read this book, maybe about 2 or 3 weeks. It was such a drag to read and I just had no motivation to read it, and it took forever to get to the end, and it also took forever to get to the good parts, which were few and far in between. There's been a lot of split opinions about Kingdom of Ash. Some people really loved it and are happy that the conclusion to their favourite series has ended, but other people found it lackluster and how Sarah J. Maas hasn't improved much from her criticisms of diversity, basically having a white vanilla fantasy world. So she does try, but it's done in such a throwaway manner that she pretty much shouldn't have included it at all. Did I enjoy Kingdom of Ash? I did, but only in certain parts, and I'm kind of glad that this series is over. I didn't cry because I kind of expected more, a lot more out of this book. I think you could have cut out 500 pages out of it without making much of a difference to the lackluster plot. Not much happened. There were a few epic moments, but I can probably count them on one hand, and if you read such a long book, you kind of expect more out of it, especially since it's the conclusion of a series. Now, after having read A Court of Thorns and Roses series and the Throne of Glass series, I stand by my opinion that Sarah J. Maas is better as a romance author that writes light fantasy rather than a fantasy author that includes romance, because it was just so disappointing, and I'm just trying to think now whether I should actually do a longer review about my thoughts on this book because I have a lot of them, but that will delve into spoiler territory. So if you're interested, leave a comment down below to let me know that you want me to do a full review on this, and yeah, I'll be happy to deliver. Anyway, I gave Kingdom of Ash 3 stars. It was super lackluster, but anyway, I'm kind of glad that it's ended now. Speaking of lackluster, another book I was disappointed about was Escaping from Houdini by Kerri Maniscalco, and I have loved this series since I read Stalking Jack the Ripper. Then the second book was Hunting Prince Dracula, which I really liked, mainly for the main two protagonists, which is Audrey Rose and Thomas Cresswell. You've probably heard about me raving about this couple throughout my channel this year, but I really like the couple dynamics, just how well they get along with each other, the support that they offer. It's friendship first and then love second, and the way that Thomas is so smarmy and he lets Audrey pursue her passion, which is basically inspecting corpses. Anyway, so I was actually quite disappointed with Escaping from Houdini because I expected a lot better, especially after reading Hunting Prince Dracula. It changes completely in tone from the previous two books. The two books were basically a bit mystery based and a bit like horror based, but this one wasn't too creepy at all. It's set in a circus setting, but they're on a boat, so they can't get away from the circus. So there's basically these performances every night. Someone gets murdered, murders keep happening. Audrey Rose is trying to investigate, but in order to do that, she gets close to the ringmaster, and oh my gosh, this is where it all goes downhill. So pretty much the ringmaster is introduced as a love interest to Audrey Rose. This is the third book in the series, guys. Why would you introduce a love interest and a love triangle this far along, especially since everyone ships Audrey and Thomas? Oh my gosh, I was so annoyed, and it made no sense why she wanted to get close to him. Just because she wanted to find out the secrets and see whether he was harboring some murdering desires, which is dangerous. And I felt sorry for Thomas because his heart was getting broken with what Audrey was doing, and then she starts to get feelings for the ringmaster, and oh my gosh, it is just such a frustrating read. And I mean, if you like circus reads and if you like magic tricks and if you like the night circus, you might like this book, but just the whole reason how Audrey decided to have another love interest, it was really annoying. Kind of glad that there's a fourth book in this series so we could just get rid of this trash fire that was this book. I ended up giving it 3 stars, which I think is a bit generous now that I think about it. The next book I read is one I borrowed from the library, and that's The Cheerleaders by Cara Thomas. I have read and enjoyed Cara Thomas's other mystery books. The Cheerleaders was basically a book about a girl sister who had committed suicide, and then the rest of the cheerleaders in her team had been murdered, and basically she couldn't live with it. It's basically a sister's quest for justice and to find out what happened in this murder investigation, seeing as it closed prematurely and there was a killer that was jailed, but she doesn't think that guy actually did it. I thought it was really interesting with the way it started, talking about the main character and how she misses her sister and the way the cheerleaders were set up as the star of the school, and it was really interesting now because she's dealing with the repercussions of that. So I was really interested with the mystery at the start, but it does start to wane a bit further in the book, and then we get like competing point of views with her sister in the past and what happened. And then I just felt myself being bored at times because there wasn't too much progress happening in the investigation. It was stalling a lot, and I pretty much don't think it's Cara Thomas's best mystery book. So whether you want to read this or not depends on whether you enjoy your thrillers. I've read a lot of them, and to me this one was really mediocre. So in the end I gave this one 3 stars. The last 3 books I read aren't really books, but they're graphic novels. So that is the Saga series, which I'm actually super excited about. I had to reread Volume 2, which I really enjoyed, and then I read Volume 3 and Volume 4. I've also read Volume 5, as it's December now, and I'll probably catch up with the rest of the series now that I'm on leave. If you haven't heard of Saga yet, it is this quirky sci-fi space read narrated by a young baby who is the daughter of Marco and Alana, who are these space criminals. They're deemed space criminals because Alana and Marco were basically on the competing sides of war. Marco was actually a prisoner of war, but Alana basically fell in love with him and they started a baby. So now the whole universe is after them. Sorry, they made a baby. I really like this series because obviously it's relatable, not only because I'm having a baby, but because it talks about the trials and tribulations of family, of them sticking together, of the difficulties of communicating and bonding with parents, of parental expectations, of what you expected in life but didn't get. And also now that the baby's growing up a bit more, about taking care of her and about how your parents are always going to be flawed whether you like it or not. It's just such a heartwarming series. It's also super quirky with all these different space characters. There's a talking cat. The first one was super bizarre because it's set on a planet called Sextillion, and it's definitely an adult graphic novel series, but I really enjoy it because it has a lot of heart, and obviously it's sci-fi too. I gave volumes 2 and 3 5 stars and volume 4 4 stars, only because things start to wane in the 4th book and the narration gets a bit less tighter, but I still really enjoy this series and I think you should pick it up. Let me know what you think, guys. If you liked Saga as well, leave a comment down below because I would love to connect to more Saga readers. So these are all the books that I read during this month. If you enjoyed my thoughts on them, please leave a comment down below. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed my video and subscribe if you'd like to see more. Thanks guys, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.